to another edition of the Husker Fans of Montana podcast. I'm Ricky J. I'm here with BB and Carl.
Hello, guys.
Hey,
How
girl.
you guys doing?
Good. Damn good.
All right. Well, like we said before, we are going to zip through the news bullets of the day, just in case anyone doesn't have a lot of time to stick around. But they should, right?
I think they should.
We got a lot of stuff to
absolutely.
go over. We got to talk about beer. We got to talk about whiskey. We got the whiskey corner coming in
Important stuff.
this
Important
episode.
stuff,
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, you can see here, and it'll be visible to the folks watching, but some news bullets. The Huskers open the season at, obviously, Minnesota on Thursday, 8:31 at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Injury news, not a lot on that front, but offensive lineman Teddy Koska should return this week.
That's huge, by the way.
It is.
You did a nice job pronouncing that name because I would have slaughtered that.
Yeah.
I think I...
Teddy.
And we did meet his, I'll just go with Teddy. We did meet his parents.
Those are the parents we
Yeah.
did meet, right? Yeah.
And Coach Rule discussed the importance of mental health, which obviously is important to us. He sang the praises of Brett Haskell, Director of Sports Psychology. Interesting thing, he said team captains will change each game and then be voted on for the bowl game. So that's a little different approach.
That is a different approach.
QB number 2 will be situationally dependent between Chubba Purdy and Henrik Harburg, where last week I thought it looked like Chubba was on his way to be a solid number 2. I was a little surprised when he updated the running back status and said Gabe Irving Jr. is starting. Ramir Johnson is a third down back. And Anthony Grant has had some ball control issues, so that's
he's
pushed him down.
Been fumbling a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what he said. So the place kicker battle is heating up, and they said they'd make a decision soon or shortly before the first game. But he said Tristan has the edge right now. And some of the big non-football news, I guess, was President Ted Carter depart for Ohio State, and that'll take effect on January 1st, 2024. And the question then becomes, how does that impact sports? And we got Coach Rule speaking on that.
Okay.
And then Coach Rule also talked about how he made the decision to run the 3-3-5 defense. So those are the things we have coming up. But before we dive into those in detail and listen to some video, what do we got?
Well, I think your 35th birthday's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. Congratulations.
how'd you guys know?
I know.
We have a little
Small
present
gift.
that is from your podcast partners.
I'm a little, luckily this is not live, because otherwise I would be slightly scared to open this. Anything from you two?
There's nothing to be scared about.
Shouldn't
It
be
falls in line.
compromising in any way.
This is perfect.
What do you mean? You don't even know what it is yet?
It's a box.
It's
It's a box.
It's a box.
It's just
It's
what
like-
everybody needs is a box.
It's like my cats.
Yes.
You love the
Oh, yeah,
box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, huh?
Now we're talking. Some nice Husker whiskey glasses.
Yes. You got to have Husky whiskey glasses. Whisker.
Say
Whisker,
that.
Whisker.
Say that after
Husky
our
whisker
demonstration.
glasses.
Have you been drinking before you came?
I have. Thank you.
Those are awesome. Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, happy
Yes.
birthday, Rick.
Yes. Happy
Thank you so
birthday.
much. I
You
can't
don't
wait.
turn 35 every day.
I love you guys so much for that.
But 20 years in a row is getting a little tiring.
We're about there, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, gentlemen.
You are very welcome.
Absolutely.
So, Carl, you brought along a little whiskey today. Tell us
We
about that.
Eagle Rare, 10-year. Good. It's a good low end, not a high one. It's got a good citrusy tape. It's a good one for someone who maybe is introduced to bourbon. It's got nice notes of citrus and orange peel. On the palate, it's got some nice. It's a sweeter bourbon, which I like. I like the sweeter bourbon, so it's got a nice flavor. You can taste the honey. You
were saying this would be a great old fashioned.
Oh, absolutely! Because of the citrus notes and the brown sugar flavor that you have, and even some of the vanilla aftertaste. I think it'd be great for an old fashioned. It doesn't have a real deep finish, which some people like, some people don't. But I think it's a nice. It's about $40 a bottle. It's a nice introduction one. I think if someone wanted to try bourbon for the first time, I think Eagle Rare is probably a good one to dive into.
Readily available here in Montana.
Well, I would say readily available, but more available than it has been in the past.
Okay.
Probably more available in some of the listing areas around the country.
Now we're drinking these tonight neat, no water, no ice.
Yeah.
So when you drink it normally, do you add a little water? Do you throw in a little ice?
It depends on it. Sometimes if there's a stronger taste, I like to have a little bit of ice. It seems to bring out the oak flavor into it a little bit. But it really depends. Like this I think the sweeter ones I actually like to drink neat. So, but like you made this with an old fashioned, you have a big old ice cube in it to kind of.
You know, I've heard that, and I'm not the connoisseur, of course, or the expert that Carl
No, I
is.
wouldn't say I'm an expert, but
but-
I drink a lot of it.
But
that doesn't
dropping
make me
an ice
expert.
cube, I was always afraid you'd kind of water it down, or
Right.
whatnot. But it actually does. It brings
Within
out,
reason. I mean, yeah, if you put too much in, yeah. But a little bit, it actually waters down. It brings out the flavor of the oak.
Right.
So I do have some of these like cold blocks, and then you put in the amount of water that you want.
Nice.
Exactly. But then you put these blocks in to make it cold. So it's supposed to be
Right.
like the best of both worlds. It's not going to keep melting and changing the mix, but it'll chill it.
Yeah, I have steel balls that you put in the freezer.
No, I thought
and
we
like
I thought
huge
we were talking
marbles.
about whiskey.
Well, we are, but you put
Now
it
we're
in
on
and
huge
it cools
steel
it. It
balls.
doesn't. Yeah, huge steel balls. They're like
You know, I'd
marbles.
heard Carl had steel balls.
I have steel
That's
balls.
exactly
Balls
what
of
the
steel
nurse
balls.
said when I was in that room with you. Look at these huge steel balls.
Grew up on the streets of Butte.
All right,
here.
let's come on. Let's get back to
All right, enough of that.
it cools the whiskey without diluting it.
Right, right.
So yeah, those are nice.
A lot of times I'll drink it with just a little water and kind of doing that as a chaser when I feel like I want it. But tonight I am chasing it with Lewis and Clark Brewing Company Helena Haze. It's one of the new India Pale Ales, and it's done in conjunction with Visit Helena, which is right here, obviously in Helena,
nice.
Montana.
Very nice.
And that QR code, if you scan that, you'll get information about our great city.
Haven't had a chance to try those. I'm
haven't.
going with the old reliable, with the Miners Gold,
Tough to beat.
award-winning, gold
You know
medal
what?
winning.
I tell you, I think that is still one of the most underrated beers out there, and, and it gets plenty of accolades. But I think people are missing out if they don't try that. I think that's a
Absolutely.
great beer.
Yeah, it's true. And the it's funny, the Mexican lager is about to become a permanent. It may be out already, but it's going to be a permanent beer, which is, if you've had it, it's awesome. And in certain markets, it's the first beer to outsell Miners Gold, which
Really?
in Miners Gold has sort of been the workhorse, for a long time. So
Well, thanks to our sponsor at
Yes.
Lewis and Clark Brewery.
exactly.
I would love to say that Buffalo Trace was a sponsor, but not yet. Maybe,
Well, they
maybe if they
certainly
see this,
could be.
maybe if they see me promoting their products,
And
we could get
we're
that.
not asking for much. A
No.
couple cases.
A couple cases of bourbon.
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
maybe a couple, like a 20, 25-year-old bottle of Pappy Van Winkle. I mean,
Right.
nothing too much. I mean,
not a lot.
let's
Well,
keep it within reason.
or any other bourbon producing companies.
Yeah,
if
pretty
you'd like
much.
to be featured here on our podcast, by all means,
We will
reach
definitely be
out.
giving you a shout out
Yeah,
Yes,
we
definitely.
appreciate it.
because I always check the blocks, not made for children,
Not made for children, yes.
when I upload this. All right. Anything else before we jump into the news?
Let's do it. I'm ready for football.
Oh man, at least we're in the single digits. So
And we're not talking about our IQ. Well, maybe we
For a
are.
change.
Maybe
it could be.
We could be.
It could be. Like I said, the Huskers open the season, so it's not a 0 week, but it's like a 0.5 week, I guess, a half week.
Does
it's short.
Nebraska ever just get a normal start? What is this, like 3-4 years in a row? It seems like it's
Oh, yeah, last year was Ireland. Now it's a Thursday night in
something.
Minnesota.
It
It's
just seems like it's something.
Right, and then the first game gets canceled in one year. And we kind of needed that. That was a true like warm up game.
Right. But no, I'm ready. Thursday night. I hope the young men from Lincoln are ready. All indications are they're going to give their best effort, and I imagine at some point tonight we're going to make some predictions. But I have done a little looking at the Minnesota team this week. Looked at some local coverage and try to scout them a little bit for the program here today.
Well, good.
Yeah, I don't know if get into it, but they've got some a couple concerns that they have of their own team. One, Carl and I were talking about before the broadcast. It's a young new quarterback. I'm trying to remember the kid's name. It's a Hawaiian name, but and he has had some turnover issues in the past. Some trying to force the ball into. I'm reading local press coverage of him, and it sounds like that might still be a concern at Minnesota. They're going to have a deep receiving room.
They always do. They've generated some good wide receivers the last couple of years.
By all accounts, the Ford is back at tight end. He's one of the best in the country, so he's going to have a target there to throw to. The running back position might be a little weak. They aren't nearly as strong as they've been.
No, last year they had to go on.
Right. So, and they lost 3 of 5 offensive linemen. So they've got to replace 3/5 of the offensive line, which, who knows? But
that's huge when you have a young quarterback.
Exactly. So if our defense, which sounds like, we got a pretty aggressive go get them kind of defense.
Right.
So anyway, that's just kind of a little bit of what I've read and seen. I've watched, some coverage. Minnesota's got a couple of weaknesses, and I'm sure that Coach Ruhl and the team back there are looking at the same things and analyzing it a lot more in depth than I'm able to do. But there are some vulnerabilities that hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of.
Well, since we don't have a game to review yet this week, towards the end of the show, we're going to go through our Ireland trip. But before that,
a year ago today,
we were there.
there.
It was awesome. But I will be asking for predictions from both of you on the game, because I don't know that we'll be able to get another one out before then.
Probably not.
I should probably have a Kool-Aid review. Maybe we should start doing that weekly.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, we'll see if it's Kool-Aid or if it's real. But again, injury news. There wasn't a lot of injury news. Have you guys heard anything more on that front?
I haven't, no.
Just that Teddy, it does sound like he's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Ruhl basically said they're a pretty healthy team. So that's good news.
Yeah.
All right. Coach Ruhl discussed the importance of mental health, and obviously Carl here is that's his field. So we are
as a provider, not as a client. But not that there's anything wrong with that. But there's.
Oops, where did that go?
Well,
See,
I'll tell you what, mental health and sports psychology and all. I will never joke about it again.
No, and you take a look at it. You take a look at the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the Tom Bradys. There's a lot of people out there that have similar skills, or sometimes even more physical skill. But the one place where those 3 specific athletes were unbeatable was up here.
Yeah, no.
They were strong. I mean, the competitiveness, their cognitive skills were unmatched, really, and it plays a major role. Because physical stuff, you can have lots of talented people, but there has to be something that separates it, and a lot of times it's what's between the ears. So
it is. So let's hear what Coach Ruhl had to say.
Dr. Haskell's is important to me as Chris Peduzzi, the head athletic trainer, Corey Campbell. She's as important to me as the offensive and defensive coordinators. It's so simple. We sometimes have a way of looking at mental health and sports performance, and kind of over here. But I'll say to guys sometimes, guys, if you have a tight hamstring, do you go see the trainer? They're like, yeah. I'm like, do you break your leg? Do you see the doctor? Yeah. Well, if you're feeling a little bit, depressed or anxious or nervous, why would you not go see Dr. Haskell? I do. So, and then if you're feeling great, then she helps keep you in that zone and teach you how to get the flow and teach you how. So, I think we as coaches have studied a lot about cognitive load and this generation and the impact of phones on their their brains and their ability to concentrate and attention and focus control. And
so true.
Really, to answer your question, all I really want is guys to be able to go from their thinking brain, getting the call, knowing the situation, and then shutting that brain off, focusing in and just reacting. And So she's teaching them how to do that. So she both handles the whole spectrum of mental health, but also kind of sports performance, which obviously is involved in that. And she's doing it at a high level, and she's doing it so we have common language, if that makes sense. So now, in the offensive line room, Donnie can be talking about breathing, or, we have things that we do football-wise, like cycle of the snap. Hey, here's what we want you to do from the end of one snap to the beginning of the next. We write them all the way out for the guys. So we're just integrating her into it. So she's using our language, and we're using her language. So I think we're, hopefully on the cutting edge of what
Tell me how you feel about your mother.
So,
I loved my mother, but
what are your thoughts on that, Carl?
Oh, it's critical. I think, I was thinking when he was talking about common language, but they always say that one of the most important things for a good quarterback, is to have a short memory.
Right.
Like when they throw an interception, all right, it's done. Move on to the next one. And the guys that struggle, you will see a lot of times, are the ones that keeps going through the head. What did they do wrong? And what if they do it again? And that affects you when you're about to throw the ball the next time. We see it all the time with what was the gymnast that had the issues where it gets into that. The one that I always think of is Rick Ankiel, who was a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals back, I think, in the 90s, and he was an incredible pitcher, and he got the yips where he couldn't throw the ball anymore. He started throwing wild and throwing it into the crowd. It ended his career. He ended up having to become he made it back to the MLB as an outfielder. But that cognitive piece, that up in the head thing, is critical to these top level athletes. And Coach Rule is absolutely right. Offensive linemen, quarterbacks, everyone, they got to be on the same. They got to get the stuff, the physical stuff you work on all the time. You got to work on the stuff that's the cognitive stuff. Absolutely.
Well, there's so much goes on in these young men's lives that we don't know, we don't see, whether it's family issues, relationships, girlfriends,
there's women,
there's a
they're
lot.
problems. They're problems, I tell you. They cause problems left and right.
Trouble. That's what my mama said.
That's right.
Well, I remember, and I'm sure he doesn't remember this, but our Helena punter helping him when he was in high school and messing around with him and trying to amp up some pressure, and didn't have a great kick, one. And from my experience in other precision things, I said, hey, you think about it for a minute. What did you do wrong? Understand what you did, and then forget about it. Like you said, that short memory.
Yeah.
And then go back to your routine. And that's the same whether it's precision shooting or I'm sure golf or whatever. You have to have that routine that you go through in any precision sport or endeavor, and you start going through that those same steps again. But when you when you shoot well and you miss a shot, you should be able to call that shot, and that it's going to be off when the shot breaks, right? And that's the same thing I would think you'd want to develop as a punter or a kicker or whatever the heck,
Well, they say that about the secondary too, corners and safeties. You better have a real short memory because,
Well,
right.
guys get burned for deep and you got to next play.
I get annoyed sometimes, but you take a look at some of the ones that come across as really cocky and arrogant. It's those DBs, but they have to be. Because, you're getting picked on all the time. And by the way, the receiver knows where they're going. You don't know where they're going. And there's an arrogance that goes with them. And sometimes it could be annoying, but I think it's essential in your top DBs to have the sense that I own this. I've got this. You can't beat me.
Yeah,
exactly. And it might not come across to the general public that way, but I think within the game, it's necessary to have that mental attitude of saying, you're not going to touch me. I got you. And without it, I think you're screwed.
That's true. You wouldn't want to humble DB. That's for sure.
No. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go
boy.
ahead. Go ahead.
I hope they don't throw it.
After you.
I really
After
hope
you.
they don't throw it.
After you. You first.
Please don't relate.
Oh, and to clarify though, that was Brian was kicking field goals, not his punting or kickoff duties, which you'll be doing for us when I gave him that advice.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is on team captains, and I don't know if you heard this, but I'll wait to comment on it until we hear from Coach.
Yeah, we won't do captains. We'll do. I think the season, especially the first year, gives you so many opportunities to lead. And so we'll do game captains, right? And then when we get to bowl season, we'll vote for permanent captains. But guys emerge as the year goes on, right? And so we kind of have our single digits, which is one thing. We'll have a unity council. The guys will vote for guys onto that. So what you're looking for is different opportunities for different guys to serve in different ways. And I'll never forget my senior year at Penn State. I wasn't a great player, but I was a captain, at home against Minnesota. We were, I think, number 1, 2, or 3 in Canberra. We were in the nation. So what an experience for me, right? So I've just kind of carried that over to all of our players. So I look for all of our seniors and some of our juniors to have a chance to be game captains this year.
I think that's pretty cool that he remembered that opportunity that he had, and he's providing that for the players. Thoughts?
I don't know, because usually the captain is usually the person that stands out as the leader, as the motivator. Do you get that if you're just picking every senior? It's just a thought.
And I don't think he's picking every senior. I mean, he did talk about it a little more. I think he's picking definitely a leader. But then on the flip side, once a captain would be picked, does that stifle the leadership of others?
Yeah, that's what I kind of wonder. I don't know.
Is he doing that with
could do that, but or does it? If everyone thinks they're going to have a shot, I mean, I don't know. I guess there's different ways to look at it.
He's kind of with the single-digit jersey number thing. He's kind of creating some leaders there, or identifying leaders, I should say, throughout camp this fall. I mean, he's definitely been pushing leadership amongst all the players. Really, everybody step up,
right?
And he's recognizing those who really have. I think with the single-digit thing, so that might, in a way, be his replacement for a season-long captain. But I was kind of with you, Rick. I thought it was kind of a neat gesture. He recognizes that something he experienced and what it meant to him, and he's bringing that out. So,
but I can see what you're saying, Carl, about do you want one set of recognized leaders throughout the entire season? And if you don't, is it a little bit confusing to the other players? I mean, that's a legitimate question. I
don't know. It really depends on the character of the guys you're picking, I guess.
Right. Well, and we'll see. I guess we don't know everything that goes on behind the curtain there. It might be pretty clear to the team who's in,
right.
Well, hopefully they'll still be leaders all the same, whether they're the ones that are walking out as captains that week or not.
You would hope.
A real leader will lead.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because you're right. You don't need a C on your chest to be able to really play a leader. And maybe the team knows who's the leader, whether they're the one that's designated for that game or not.
Right.
Right. I think back to that movie Rudy, where the whole team came together and was basically going to quit unless Rudy got on the field. And
he still didn't have. He had to be snuck onto the field. The poor guy.
Right.
We should ask: was he offsides? Was Rudy?
He was
Rudy
just lightning
offsides?
quick. That last play, he was just lightning quick.
Okay, all right.
So quick.
There is a debate.
He knew the snap.
There is a debate.
He knew the snap.
All right, we're going to listen to Rule on the QB2 situation.
Do you know who the number 2 quarterback is?
I think it's both of them right now. I think you would see. I think they both are ready to lead. I think they both are. We can win with both of them. Yeah, I mean, I say that because they bring different attributes to the table. I think Heinrich would be a little bit more of the dual threat stuff. Chubb a little bit more. It's probably like Heinrich would probably be like a little bit more on the edge of run it first and then throw it. Though he's really coming along in the drop back pass game, and Chubb would be a little bit more in the throw it first into the run it game. So, I think both of those guys would have a role if something were to happen to Jeff.
Would it be a situational decision?
Yeah, we wouldn't be the old, we wouldn't do Steve Spurrier, run the quarterbacks on play after play. It'd kind of be like, hey, we're in a situation, we're running the ball here. Maybe it's a little more Heinrich. Hey, we're going to drop back and throw it. We're down 2 scores. Maybe it's Chubba. And again, they're continuing to try to elevate past each other, and they're such good friends too. So it makes it a healthy competition. So I don't think we could sit here and tell you right now, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think if something were to happen to Jeff, which I would never want to happen, obviously, for Jeff's sake, we would feel really good about Chubba, and we would feel really good about Heinrich going out there and leading the team.
Along those lines.
Thoughts, gentlemen?
2 different styles, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I actually thought Chubba has pretty good legs, but it sounds like...
Yeah, because he's more athletic than I thought he was. I think, he can take off and run.
Let's
thought
be,
so too, yeah.
let's be honest. Let's just really pray that Sims is healthy this
Yes.
season, and that it doesn't come down to Chuba or Heinrich. Hopefully
That's how they're feeling in Tampa Bay. They really want Baker to be healthy because they don't want to go.
they really don't.
Bad example. Bad example.
Well, look what Purdy's brother did at San Francisco.
That's true.
Anything is possible,
Right.
But I do think, as Husker fans, we really want Sims to have a long, healthy, and productive season. So,
Well, if I understand what's going on in practice, they are all getting more reps than what would have been happening last season, or the seasons prior. So I do like that idea. Maybe it's hopefully getting preparing someone to go in at a moment's notice versus I think we saw Purdy get whippled before and really wasn't prepared. That's pretty devastating for a young man.
That's a good word. I like that word, whippled.
we're going to use that this year.
We need to say that word, whippled.
Anytime someone was hung out to dry, they got whippled.
I still would like to get. Can we get Coach on the show? Coach Whipple, if you're out there,
Yeah, call in. Here's
Call
the
in.
number.
Yes.
don't know what you're up to. Maybe selling Chevy somewhere, but
Jenny. Yeah.
would like to know what you were thinking last year.
All right, let's hear Coach on the running backs.
I think for us, I think we feel like Gabe is clearly the number one guy. Ramir, clearly the third down back and still a runner, right? But Ramir's ability to track protections and catch the ball in the backfield is pretty special. I think, every scout that comes in here, I tell them all, like, hey, I had Jermichael Hasty at Baylor still playing. I said, he's just like him. He can run option routes, choice routes. So I think Ramir's got a future. Ramir has a little tweak to his hammy, so you asked about the injury report. Should be back this week. Just kind of got tight on him the other day, so we held him. But should be fine. So, I think kind of situationally those two guys. And then Anthony is, when the ball's in his hands, Anthony's elite running the football. Anthony just, he's put the ball on the ground too much. He's fumbled the ball too much. And no matter how talented you are, if you fumble the football, you can't play for us. Wow. So we're going to continue to work on it with AG. He's had a good camp up until the last couple of days and sort of turning the ball over, but it's been an issue. And I normally wouldn't say that out loud, but I'll say it because Anthony, he knows exactly, hey, I've got to conquer this. But when he's right, he sees it as well as anybody. And then we have a 1-2-3 punch. And then I'd say Emmett Johnson is, he's in the running to be our starting kick returner. And Emmett's, he's a versatile all-around back. And I think he can help us as well.
Boy, you talk about sports psychology. What's going through Grant's head right now? Even when the coach just brings it up, because that's the fumbles. That's kind of like the yips.
Yep, absolutely.
Where you just can't keep hold of it, and man, and so it's going to be interesting to see from his how strong of a mentality he has on whether this being called out like this helps him or hurts him. That's great. Interesting.
That's a good point, and this is my feeling on it because I heard some things where he might be the player that was late to meetings and things like that, and my take on it is I think Coach Rule is basically calling him out in a good way and challenging him to say, you got an issue, but you're going to have to step it up because clearly last year he was the man, 900 and some yards. I mean, we're going to watch in the Ireland game just a little piece of it before the infamous onside kick. He had a killer run, where he was running over people to score. And I don't know. I just have a feeling that this is Coach Rule's way of challenging him, AG, to get the most out of himself. So we'll see.
I agree. And that's what's going to be interesting to see is how he responds.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Or if he'll be sitting in the therapist's office.
Which is always a good thing, right, Carl?
That's right.
All right, this is Coach on the kicking, the status of the
This
kicking
is a bit of a
battle.
concern.
I'm hesitant to say anything right now because today was not our best day kicking. We struggled a little bit today in the kicking game. So today Tristan went with the ones today. Timmy had been going with the ones. Tristan went with the ones today. So I think probably as we get into like Wednesday, Thursday, we'll kind of have like, hey, this is how we're heading into game week on Friday. And that Thursday night mock game is important to me. I like to get out on the field under the lights. Obviously we're playing night game. Guys have been tired. They've been going to class. They've been doing homework and just kind of see who performs. So probably by Thursday we'll make an official decision when we come out with that depth chart in terms of who's gonna be the starter. But it was Tristan as of today.
That was a little surprising to me, and I know it is to you.
Yes and no. Because of the youth, I mean, it's a lot of pressure. I don't care what high school you come from, or it's a big leap to be starting in a Big Ten football game. 80, 90,000 people watching you. But this kid truly is probably the best. I don't know. I'm not sure you get much argument. Nebraska landed the best place kicker in the country. Most of the big organizations, Coles and some others that rate these kids and train them, all saw him as top notch, the best. So he's got the leg. It sounds like he's got the mental mindset, which is huge in the kicking game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. You miss one, talk about better forget it and move on. Yeah, the only kick that matters is your next one. If he's got that kind of mindset, he's got all the tools. I mean, Timmy's a good guy. Good, he was much improvement for Nebraska over the year before. I wouldn't say that he was elite or, particularly. I don't want to put the guy down, but it wasn't a spectacular kicker. He isn't a spectacular kicker. He's an okay kicker. Whereas Tristan definitely could be a spectacular kicker. This is a kid that can hit 50 plus easily with the God-given talent leg that he's got. So if he's got the mind, if the doesn't get the nerves, if that doesn't get to him in game setting, he's hard to put on the bench.
I just want to say that it seems like we're talking a lot about mental health issues and the need to get things straight. Coach Rule, if you need more staff, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to provide my services in any way that I can. To
you could do some telecounseling,
yes,
right?
Yes, I can.
If they didn't want to send the jet to bring you in.
Why aren't you reaching out to your friend Bobby over here at Missoula? I'm thinking...
Because I want him to fail.
I'm thinking that your first session maybe you should be with Bobby.
Oh man! So this is Coach Rule on the news that President Carter had left, and so I'm hearing this and I'm hearing this, and it's like, okay, the guy's an administrative person, so how does that affect the team or Nebraska sports? And I guess he was much more involved. I don't know everything you guys have heard, but the bottom line is really how Coach Rule feels about it. So we'll listen to that.
Your thoughts on President Carter moving on from Nebraska?
Yeah, obviously I was disappointed when I heard it today. President Carter called me, which I appreciate. I'll forever be grateful. He brought me here. He's one of the big reasons why I came here. Just kind of knowing that there was that leadership from Trev and he and so obviously I'm disappointed, but I certainly understand. He's done a great job here. And I trust Trev a lot. I think the big thing for me is having Trev Alberts as the athletic director is like the most important thing in the world to me because he's been so great. I mean, he's visionary, he's strategic. So I think President Carter bringing Trev here, bringing me here, I'll be forever grateful. And he'll be here for the rest of the year, and make sure I know he'll make sure we get off to a great start. So excited for him, and I'm excited to meet who we have next.
That's huge, though.
I just didn't think Jimmy Carter made that big a deal.
Especially at his age. I mean, he's like 98 years old, for God's sake.
Having that significant role.
Now, Roslyn, I understand, but that's a whole different... Yeah,
great woman. A lot of people say he's the best ex-president of all time, and it's hard to disagree with that. So
that's what you got. That's what you got. Holy cow! You see what I'm working with?
You're not just going to get this anywhere.
You see what I'm working with, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's what I would worry about, though, is if he goes, because Ryan Day is, if he continues to succeed, he could get called up to the pros. Like that's what happens when college coaches do really well for a while, and who knows? I mean, if Rule could go to Ohio State.
I don't see it making any difference this year. Obviously.
Not this year.
He's still going to be there.
Right.
Probably not going to make any difference as long as, like you're saying, the coaching staff, Rule, Trev, as long as they stay in place, probably not a huge deal. When there's turnover, that's when I think
Right.
the president's role really.
Right. Like I said,
And that's
if
when you
Ryan
call
Day gets-
Jimmy Carter back and you get a negotiator.
Yeah, like you did with Iran. Okay,
Yeah.
moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And you're not the first one to air that concern. I mean, I have heard that out there, and it's a great point. It's just Coach Rule has said he really wants to settle his family down and not be moving around. So I hope that's true. And I don't know.
They
I don't
all
know how-
say that, though.
Yeah, they all say that. It's just like a supervisor. No, we're gonna know I'm here forever, and then a year
What-
later they're gone,
what would-
moving up.
What would this head coach, with his resume, his repertoire, what he does, what would he get out of Ohio State?
Running the top program in the country.
Eh,
What are the top? One of the top.
I think his DNA is building the top team in the country. I don't think he wants to move into Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan.
just to play devil's advocate, then why did he take the Carolina Panthers job? I mean, he went from Baylor to Carolina. He could have kept building a Baylor program.
Well, a lot of
I'm
coaches.
just saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I mean, the coaches always want to take the next step up, and I think it's in their DNA. I think you always want the next challenge, the next higher tier program. And I mean, if you had an opportunity to run Ohio State, I mean, other than Alabama or
If you
or
felt-
Georgia
Well-
or Michigan, I mean, what other program would
if
be?
you felt you could make this program a program that beats Ohio State, and I think this man thinks he can.
I hope. So.
I don't
hope
think
so.
I don't think he thinks he's going to do it this year. Or maybe
Right.
not the year after. But I think this man believes in 5 or 6 years, Ohio State's going to be nervous when Nebraska shows up. And I hope he's successful.
I truly hope so. I just think about by history. You have the Nick Sabans went up.
He went-
let LSU
tried
went up to the
pro.
Dolphins,
Yeah.
couldn't cut it,
Didn't work out.
failed miserably. Urban Meyer
Right.
with the Jackson. I mean, they're always looking for the next challenge up, and then they come back because, well, everyone, not everyone's meant
Well,
for that.
he's
but
been around some. So
He
let's-
has. He has. I just say I think it's natural for a coach to always want the next best thing.
That might just be human nature for all of us.
Very well. Very could be.
How do marriages survive in this day and age?
They don't.
Carl?
50% failure. Thank you very much.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I do want to say that previous one in this last video is from Marcus Satterfield's show, which is definitely one I would recommend too. And this is Coach Rule on the 3-3-5 defense and how a listener actually asked, how did he decide to run that defense?
I'm curious about the 3-3-5 defense. Where did you first hear about it? And is it a simpler defense to learn for the players?
Well, that's a great question. When I was at Temple, we were really good on defense. We were in the top 25 the 3 of the 4 years, the last 3 years. And we'd always mix around a little bit with some 3-down stuff, some 3-3 stuff. Then when we got to Baylor, we were in Big 12, wide open conference. We'd play a little bit of it. The last year we went to truly a 3-3 defense and just kind of jumped through the roof. It's a year we won 11 games. And so that was my history with it. I knew Tony. I knew the success he was having. And, really listening to Coach Osborne talk about making Nebraska a place where people have to adjust to something new within 2 or 3 days. And again, he was talking about the option from having to go against Oklahoma, and they implemented that. My thought process was, well, hey, on defense, let's do something that I know a little bit about, from my history, that I hire a great guy like Tony to do, and have it be different. So is it simpler? I think our guys have taken to it. They've learned it. But I think a lot of that has to do with their hard work as well.
Very good.
Thoughts, gentlemen?
Carl?
I said it last week. What worries me is I want to make sure it's not a defense that's based on weakness in the secondary, so they have to load it up in the secondary. I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like a 3-3-5 is if you're worried about your defensive backs, and so you load them up. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I am.
And I was just going to say, I'm not sure, variations of a 3-down defense have been around for a very long time. I mean, it's not like no one's ever heard of it. Nose guard and, head up on the tackles. Back in the olden days when I was young, you'd bring up what we called ends or now edges. You'd have those guys and do various things with them, drop them back into pass coverages. You could do all kinds of things there. So to me, it's not like a revolutionary new, never heard of before, type of thing. And I think my guess is what you're going to see, especially against, if you're wanting to bring some heat on the quarterback or, run blitzes, I think you'll see a lot of corner blitz using
have
it,
to.
right?
Because you don't have anybody else.
Well, yeah, you've got. I think you're going to see that type of thing where it just kind of keeps an offense a little off balance, not sure where that rush is coming from. Do you drop a linebacker into coverage and bring a corner? Can you? It's going to depend on the athleticism of the players.
You'd have to have those DBs playing up by the line then.
Sure.
Well, I think you will see many times there'll be more than 3 on the line. They just won't know whether they're dropping back or whether they're coming in.
Right, and that's where I think that's where this goes. You can call it a 3-3-5, but what do those 5 do? What does that second 3 do? Linebacker situation. You're bringing them a lot. I think you could do a lot with it. I think he has. I'm anxious to see how it plays out, but I hope too it's not in reaction to a weakness.
A weakness. That's
But
what
I'm
worried
not,
about.
the way he talks about it, it kind of tends to that like this is something he just has in his toolbox, right? He's
Right.
bringing this, so
And I understand exactly what you're saying, Carl. The videos I have watched on the 3-3-5, no one has said, that's what you go to if you have personnel that can't cut it, basically. And so I agree with you. I hope not. I don't think so. I think he wants to run a unique defense that teams have to prepare for, especially each week when Nebraska comes, that they're not used to seeing at any other time during the year. And that's what, we still see that with teams that play Navy and Army. And now suddenly they're playing, facing the option offense that, sometimes they never see before.
Right. And the option or a team that has a really strong running game.
Right.
You're going to have those 5 DBs up on the line.
sure.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to be stuffing the box.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sure he has packages to stop the run and out of that. And you can mix the personnel too, even though, there's
Right. Your
still got
DBs
11
start to
players.
look a lot like linebackers
Yeah.
after 6'3", 250 on the
Right.
So I've pulled up our list of news items, and I'll just ask for final thoughts on any of those, gentlemen.
Well, clearly, the emphasis tonight was on sports psychology. a lot of between the ears stuff, and it's I think with your quarterbacks, I think with your DBs, definitely. I mean, your kicking game, for sure.
I know
So,
with the kicking game, it's a big,
absolutely.
big
Yeah.
So, and also with Anthony Grant, the fumbles is sometimes it's hard to get over that.
Right. Because you start thinking about it.
Yeah,
and then
you
it
start
happens.
no matter how tight you hold on to that damn ball.
I know.
Well, let me tell you something that old timey coaches used to do. If you had a fumbling problem, is they tossed you a football, and it was your baby 24/7.
Exactly.
I mean, you took it to home.
Remember
to
the
bed,
Titans?
Took a shower with it.
He
guys would be-
had to run miles with the football.
with the football. you never put it down, right?
Yep.
That's funny. Well, before we move to predictions, then let's talk some Montana news.
Okay.
Carl, what do you got?
Well, this week I kind of focused on the defense. Last week I had the opportunity to go over and watch some of the practice and saw the offense. defense is going to be interesting. One of the things that came in looking at it and kind of looking through the forums that were out there, there seems to be a consistency that one of the biggest fears was what happened in the MSU game, the Bobcat game. Because what really came out in the Bobcat game is they exposed our inability to close gaps. And that starts up in the defensive line. And, I think, Gubner is going to be is probably one of the best defensive tackles in the FCS. But it's the ends that have to have contained. Edwards, I think, is for the Grizz is probably going to be a star in the making. He's got a lot of physical attributes that lead us to believe that. But the running backs being able to close the gaps, I think in looking at it, I think there's a solid number of starters. I worry about depth.
Okay.
A lot of young players, a lot of transfers, and I think we don't know how those folks are going to fit in. Sure. So I think there's a lot of talent on the defense at the first level, but God forbid there's an injury.
Now
because we don't know how many how they're going to fill in after that.
We lost our leading tackler from last year.
Don't even go there.
But seriously, how's the secondary look? How's the
Fausch and Graves and Cotton. I think they once again though they're it's whether the backups
to them,
right? And of course I'm hearing that they're happy with the kicker and the punter right now. And they think Bergen is going to be the punt returner.
Okay.
They have no idea who's going to be the kick returner, and it could be White. There's a couple, but they most of the places it's hard for them to have a depth chart on that one because they don't know who that's going to be. I think overall, can the Grizz avoid injury? They have a good and how's Bradford's new scheme as the new defensive coordinator going to be? I think, though, if the one thing that was really exposed in the CAC game last year was our inability to close the gap, to be gap sound.
Okay.
And that'll be critical. So we'll have to see.
A lot of linebackers we lost.
But we have good ones coming. I mean, a lot of ones with good experience, Hill and Jacaro. Those are experienced backers.
Sure.
And the Grizz seem to just produce linebackers.
Well, those Canicaros, they're tough customers.
Oh, God, yeah. And Anaconda Kid and Hill. In Braxton Hill?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. They tend to, I mean, the Grizz have always seemed to be pretty solid at linebacker. I think it's the depth, though. It's going to be, they're going to have to get these young guys some playing time. Bobby always brings in a lot of transfers. How are those transfers going to fit into the system?
Sure.
So we'll have to see. Let's see how it goes.
All right, BB, we'll start with you. Real gold or fool's gold?
Oh,
What's
boy.
happening?
These first games are always so hard. 3-4 games into the year, I think any one of us can have a lot better feel for how this is going to go. I've spent a lot of time looking at, as I mentioned earlier, start of the broadcast. I've tried to take a look at Minnesota too. I think the key to this game is going to be turnovers. I think the team that wins the turnover battle is a team that's going to win. And just because it's the first game and we really don't know, and I just have such high hopes for everybody and such close connections, it's enough to tilt me to saying Nebraska. I hate to put points out there, but I think it'll be a fairly close game. I'd take Nebraska in 6 points, probably somewhere in there.
All right. I like that. Carl, real gold or fool's gold? What do you got for us?
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I think Minnesota's got even though there's some issues with injuries and that type of stuff, I think the Gophers are going to take it about 21-17.
21-17, a little bit of a dark cloud, but I like the balance that's going on here. Two close games.
I know.
Well, I think, BB, you're right that the first game you make that call a little more on heart. And so I'm saying Huskers go in, defeat the Gophers in stunning fashion by 10 points or more.
Nice.
Shock the nation. And Colorado is quaking. A lot of tickets go on sale.
I'm going to be banned. I'm going to be banned from the show. I could just see it. Because I'm the realist. I'm the realist here. You guys are drinking the Kool-Aid.
I stand by my turnover prediction, though. If Nebraska starts turning the ball over, interceptions, fumbles, we're not going to be able to overcome that at any game this year. So I think
that's true.
I think that's going to be key.
10 points or more, Carl.
Okay.
10 points or more.
Okay.
Time to have a drink of the
Time
whiskey.
to have a drink.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Have some more whiskey.
Cheers, our first prediction.
Cheers, absolutely.
It's been a
Yes,
long time
Cheers.
coming.
Yes.
This has been planning for a while.
Well, and well thought out. I mean, we may feel differently, but I'll tell you, by college football, a lot like high school football, the personnel changes so much year to year.
Right.
And you can have a sense, is Michigan, is Alabama going to lose 6 games? No. You kind of know programs.
Right.
But, we're not playing in Alabama. We're playing Minnesota.
No.
It's a good team. But we're bringing a whole new train.
And I'll be
This time.
the first one to apologize for being wrong. I mean, I hope I am. I hope I'm
won't
dead
be
wrong.
the first time.
It won't be, nor will it be the last.
All right, gentlemen. Anything else before we jump in quickly and go over our Ireland trip?
No, I think that's good. This is kind of fun to take a look at because
Just
think
how
about a
much
year
I
ago.
wish I had been there.
I
but
know, but just to think of that, this is exactly a year ago.
Yeah, baby. I think it would have helped us out if you had been there. I think. Well, we talked in a previous episode of how we kind of battled the issue: are we a couple or not a couple?
That's
And we
true,
were
yeah.
we were the only people on the bus.
I'm pretty sure we would have been a thruple.
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 Yes, a thruple.
We
a fun
went.
one.
The tour was by
Whipple.
Executive Travel.
Yeah,
They were a great company.
excellent.
Had a wonderful time. Great people.
Couldn't say a bad thing about him, to be honest. I thought it was incredible.
I think their official travel executive is the official travel company of
They are
our
of
broadcast,
Nebraska.
aren't
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't-
I know
I think
they're the
they-
official travel
our
of
broadcast.
Of our broadcast.
Yes.
Executive Travel definitely is.
Hell yeah.
Well, I would love to look at that other trip. I think they're going to be sending me the details on the
Normandy.
Normandy
Normandy
trip.
trip, yeah.
But they were fun. They were great. Great company.
Great company. I thought it was great.
So I was going to have the itinerary all printed out, and I got sidetracked. So it was August 21st. We took off through August 29th, and this is the National Stud Farm.
And
With a good picture of me
Carl's
being
at
there.
the National
I'm at
Stud
the stud farm.
But
the
yet,
poster child for it.
the horses, we'll see in a little bit how much money they made. I don't think Carl's made anything.
I didn't make craps.
I think his foals have still been costing him money, but no, they've grown up enough now, not so much, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But had some beautiful, beautiful horses, and this is all natural breeding, no insemination stuff going on.
Just trying to read that credit card number off.
Yeah,
that.
don't do that,
I'll blur that.
please.
Actually, I won't. But you see some of the names of some of the horses that they've had, the prize money that they've made.
That was very cool, though. That was a cool place.
This reminded me of The Quiet Man. Remember that movie with John Wayne?
Yes.
Way back when?
Now this was some stop between there
This is on the way
after
to
we
Cork.
left there. Yeah, on the way to Cork. Yep. But I think every American is going to take pictures of a castle
Yes, of course.
and a cool Celtic cross statue.
What's the young lady doing in that one?
Oh, like it was a year ago. The first hotel had they were smart. The tour company had happy birthday stuff
For
me.
Rick. Yeah.
The first
nice.
hotel. This was just a
That was
super cool deal at the breakfast. Such good food.
Right, and honey, natural honey that was right out of the comb.
No kidding.
Yeah,
it was so good.
incredible.
Ah.
I was pleasantly surprised with the food that we were served the entire trip.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was great.
Sometimes Ireland isn't thought of as a great
No,
cuisine, but
Guinness, lots of Guinness stew, and but lots of. I mean,
It was
there
the
was
food was good.
It was good.
I think someone had said the food won't be that great, but I thought it was very, very good. Jerpoint Park. I think I'm
Is
pronouncing
this
it
where
correctly.
Santa Claus is buried?
Yeah, this is the Santa Claus. Remember, this is like the super old community.
Seriously, a lot of people got upset with this. That this is where Saint Nicholas is buried.
the St. Nicholas.
The
Yes.
Saint Nicholas. Yes. And boy, I was like, well, I got kicked back. Like, no, he's still alive. No, okay, whatever. I saw his grave.
Sorry,
I saw
children.
his grave.
No more Christmas. No more presents. St. Nicholas is dead. Just some cool sights from there.
It amazed me, the architect and the engineering that they had
Oh,
that far back. And some of these, and you know, it's amazing. I think, and this was the place that I noticed it. Roofs are still being the original roofs from 600 years ago, or however much it was, and we can't get a damn roof to last 30 years around here.
Exactly. There is St.
There is
Nicholas's
St.
grave.
Nicholas's grave.
I'll be doggone. Look at that.
Oh, and this, remember this?
Is that his grave?
Yeah.
This was Scott Frost's grave.
this dropped. It was the onside kick. This fired up the folks. That story dropped in Ireland. Not sure why I put that in. This is a little whiskey tasting over there.
Oh yes,
Very nice.
yeah. That was the Redbreast 25. Or was it 25 or 27? And then we had a Bushnell's, which was an older one. I can't remember
22 years.
Yeah.
A Writer's Tears cast strength. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what that was, but very good. I don't think there was any whiskey that I really didn't like. over there.
No. I think that was okay. It was Redbreast 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to be honest with you. To be honest with you, Redbreast 12 is my favorite.
What's better?
It was. I thought it was better. I think that when it got the older it was in the cask, almost a stronger after, to a point where it was almost. It wasn't pleasant as much as pleasant. It wasn't as smooth as the 12. I thought the 12 or the 15, I think, is actually the best. But that's my opinion.
Well, I felt the same way with the Appleton rum that I've enjoyed too. Is the 12 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Now you say in Ireland, Jameson is drank almost exclusively with ginger ale.
Well, I don't know about exclusively,
No, it
but
was
like
here.
at the brewer or at the distillery, when you go up, you get your complimentary ones. The main drink that they have is ginger ale with lime and Jameson,
And
which
baby,
is very tasty, by the way.
it wasn't. Baby, you're just a natural because here we are at the distillery. The Middleton Distillery, Jameson.
Yeah, that's Jameson and Redbreast made there. That was a cool place.
Wow. Been around a while.
Yeah.
A few years.
Copper.
Yeah, they're big on their single pot distillery.
Yeah. They do a nice job, give a really good tour.
It was very enjoyable. And boy, would I love to have one of those casks. Oh, just sneak that back on the plane.
This is like the angel share when they say the in the cask, the amount that evaporates. It's angel's share and angel's cut. And so they have that out of cask, like the angel's wings in there where it's aging. And I thought that was an appropriate photo.
psychedelic.
There is an angel.
That's after we had a few Jamesons.
If I, was an angel, I would definitely want to be one that gets to sip the whiskey. We would do good at that, wouldn't we? We'd be
would.
like,
I think we'd
be
be naturals.
really good angels. We'd be naturals.
An angel
Yes.
podcast. Yeah.
So they ended up with a really nice whiskey tasting.
Basically compared Scotch to Jack Daniels. Not much of a comparison, really.
So a lot of times you do something in the morning and then in the afternoon, and this was the Blarney Castle, where you can kiss the Blarney
Blarney
Stone.
Nice stone.
Yes.
Did either one of you partake?
We both did.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
You laid
and there's
backwards, right?
You had to lean backwards and down. And now this was right at the end of the COVID thing. So just to let you know, they did sanitize the stone after each kiss.
so the interesting thing was about this as you moved up through this, and I think I apologize, I may have this picture that makes Carl look like he's ready to rush backwards. I'm not sure
Dying to see this.
I'm not sure if I included that. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It got tighter and
Tighter.
tighter and tighter as you went up, and that was for the defense of the castle. So that as
And
they
spiral
moved up,
staircases too. Yeah.
and then they had the advantage of the against the attacker.
Oh.
So
There you go. Nice look.
Nice.
That's a lovely look.
You're welcome,
Appreciate that.
Carl.
Thanks for moving on.
some arrow slots. But it actually, there were people that had to turn around as they were going up. Remember that?
Yep.
Did you make it?
I made it.
Well.
There I am at the top.
Yes.
There he is.
Nice Husker hat.
Still didn't catch the credit card.
Good.
So there's some people were in line to kiss the Blarney Stone. And there's just different stories of the Blarney Stone, the legend of it as you are moving through. There's Carl kissing
upside
that
down.
stone.
See, I am upside down. Here they are on the rail.
It's not the easiest thing to do,
No, it's
actually. It
not.
wasn't.
Actually, it's not.
No, I was just thinking of in the movie. The Scottish guy, the battle.
Highlander?
No,
Oh.
no.
Freedom!
Yes.
Oh, yes. Mel Gibson.
Mel
Yeah.
Gibson.
Yeah,
in,
whatever that was, yeah. Highlander is a better
Wrong
movie.
country, I understand, but there was a scene where he implies the English can bend over and kiss.
Yes.
So
Right.
it reminded me of.
This was a tour through a pretty big park, horse carriage ride, and some just cool scenery up to another castle.
Another castle. Lots of castles.
Castles. I would want a castle by a lake if I was going to have a
It's
castle.
going to have a castle. It has to be
Yeah.
a lake. I mean, come on.
I think if you don't have a castle by the lake, I mean, I don't know. Do you really have a castle? Okay, so this then we August 24th, where it's a ferry crossing that we they put the whole bus on. Pretty wild. I thought this was like the quintessential little Scottish house.
Oh,
Yeah, we heard it open, Carl. There's the bus, or what? Not our bus, but a bus going on to the ferry. Thank you, Carl.
You're very welcome.
There, it's fully loaded. And this was a nice one. Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, the Cliffs of Moher. That was awesome.
I got.
That's
Oh wait,
no,
that's
not
ferry.
the same
Hold
one.
it.
Come on, that's not the Cliffs of Moher.
Oh,
Oh, there
whoops.
we go.
Oh, here
There's
we
the
go.
Cliffs of Moher. Now go back to the sign. There, that one. Everyone who's single, there's a matchmaking festival in Ireland for all those people that need to find a date.
September 22. It's got to be held around that time each year. It's
Europe's biggest single event.
yeah.
Yes,
How could you not? How could you not want to go?
Did you- and
Love
you guys
is
missed
in.
it.
it's like swipe right. It's their version of
But you don't have to swipe. You can actually interact with people.
Interact with people. Yes,
I bet you can drink whiskey too.
Strange
I bet
concept.
you can.
That was classic. There are the cliffs.
They were incredible.
Very, very incredible.
Pictures don't do them justice.
What they said, there must be several suicides there.
Well, are we going to have some right here? Is that people at the top? Of
Well,
that?
no.
Well, I
that's-
took a picture on when I went through. They had the equivalent of the 988 or the Suicide Lifeline on top of the cliffs
I would think so.
for people.
yeah.
Right. But I just thought it was interesting. I took pictures of that just as some perspective that it's not just the U.S. that has to deal with this issue.
And it did start raining. And that was
Which
you know,
added to it. I
It
thought,
did.
but-
And, they say, Ireland, it rained every day. We had beautiful,
right.
incredible weather. The only place it really rained was here, which was perfect.
Which was ideal, which you wanted it. I mean, it looks so cool in the rain. Oh, that's beautiful. That is really cool.
Now, we had 2 days in Galway, or 2 overnights in Galway.
Right.
So we skipped the bus tour. They went to look at sheepdogs and stuff like that. Pretty cool events, but we just wanted to kind of do our own thing. So we just spent the day. Carl found a walking tour.
We
It was a
found
blast.
old bars is what we found.
We found a lot of bars.
Like ones from the 1400s, though.
Yeah.
That's
And we found where what's his name wrote the song Galway Girl.
mm-hmm. There's the place, the King's Head.
The King's Head.
Was it like 1492 or 14
Yeah, it was
something like that?
It was old.
It was old.
It is amazing to just think that building's been there that long.
I know. Yeah. Lots of Guinness. Lots of Guinness served everywhere.
Lots of, yeah.
Guinness and Jameson. Well, lots of stuff.
I may have skipped one, but oh, this was just on the way, just some shots of the countryside. It was beautiful. I remember. And these roads, you see it is so narrow, and this dude's driving this bus.
He was amazing.
Yeah, and could back that thing into spaces that I couldn't back my pickup into. Phenomenal. And this, what I thought of when I went here, which was, it's a lot about the pursuit of religion and everything, how that pushed civilization throughout the world, and these were a lot of monks building this, but teaching people things, providing medicine to people, as well as spreading Christianity.
I think that's the little house where the Pope went, though.
Yeah, the Pope
The
landed
Pope.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
They built a little landing pad for his helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some old stuff here. And this was a beautiful day. I mean, it just beautiful.
Okay, let's get to the game day because I'm sure people are watching going, like, I really want to see your
People like
vacation
these.
pictures. No, they
People
don't.
like these.
A
Carl,
little small doses.
stop being a
Small
Debbie
doses.
Downer. God.
Just be a realist once again. Just be
Okay,
realist.
and
There
here
we
we
go.
are at the pep rally.
There we go.
Saw some folks from Nebraska. Well, a lot of folks from Nebraska here, but actually people that I knew.
Was it like they thought there was like 5,000 people from Nebraska and like 300 from Northwestern?
Yeah, it was insane.
A little bit different.
Well, Nebraska travels well. Always
Nebraska travels well.
It was packed.
has. There's old Herbie.
Did we see Little Red?
We did not see Little Red there. I
think
would have.
You would have been
I
disappointed.
don't think they issued a visa.
No.
Hey, here's the
no.
deal. BB wasn't there, and Little Red wasn't there.
Coincidence?
Just saying.
I think not.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just Trev
Here's
talking?
Trev. Let's
There's
see.
Trev. Yep.
It should be a movie, but for some reason it's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to play. Doesn't want to
okay.
play. Just going to have to give up on it.
Yep. Move on. There's the team.
There's the coach that's gone. That was the parents
Right.
right there.
Yep.
Yeah. That was fun. The whole thing was fun.
It was.
Game day.
Game day.
That was Prohaska's parents.
The Mary Cobbler.
That's where we pre-gamed.
A lot of Husker red all over that entire, and it wasn't just in Dublin. We
No.
saw Husker red all over Cork,
Everywhere.
Galway.
Yep. Everywhere we went.
Yeah, there was an invasion of Nebraska, folks.
This was Chris Schmidt. He does the Hill Varsity radio show.
Sure.
So I interrupted their podcast. No, their broadcast was over. Here's a shot of the stadium, Aviva Stadium.
Crazy. Beautiful facility.
It was a pretty stadium.
Now, Carl, tell I guess or I'll tell the story as we go through here. So this is where we got to go. The executive travel, which is amazing. They gave certain people on the bus, they had several buses there on their tour package, but they gave certain people tickets to this VIP booth.
To the 50-yard line, the owner's box. I mean, at the 50-yard line.
50-yard line, 2 bars, 2 lines of food all the time. And because it was my birthday, and we were probably the nicest people on the bus, or maybe they said, and we're the only gay couple. They said we should give it to them. But they said it was for my birthday. So,
in fact, they had tickets reserved for people that, in case they had mishaps during their travel, like lost other bags or missed a flight, that they would make it up to people by giving them the box seats. Well, it turned out that nobody had any issues.
Right. They did a fantastic job.
They had a number of buses, and everyone's luggage arrived. Everyone's flights arrived on time. And so they had to just give out these tickets because they had them.
And it was awesome.
We were lucky enough to get
fortunate
to get them. Yeah, it was great.
And it was an amazing experience. I mean, the game, obviously, well, there was the menu throughout, into first quarter, pre-match, first quarter, halftime, the different food items that were coming out. Again, we had 2 bars. There's a little the warm-up. Captain's going out. This was a photo of the first punt. But this was just a phenomenal way to watch a football game.
It was. It was a great place to watch an onside kick to start the second half. Couldn't think of a better place to watch it.
Since we have our Helena native here, we're going to watch some of these punts.
Yeah, he did a great job. And considering his very first punt at Nebraska was deep in the end zone, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is that they ran out of, or the power went out, and so all the credit card machines went out. And so they gave beer away free in the second half.
Right.
Now, that was definitely probably the highlight of the game for most people in the stadium.
This is a great
There
punt.
were a lot of drunk people there because of that.
Well, we didn't even know that because thanks to executive travel, we were getting it for free.
Right. But when we heard about that, I was like, oh, my God, can you imagine? Which was interesting because what do you think the difference would be in the United States? Do you think they would just open up and give? No, they shut everything down. In Ireland, they said, "Oh, well, just give free beer."
Yeah, several punts inside. First game, several punts inside the 20.
Did great.
I mean, this is just phenomenal.
He represented us well, didn't he?
That's
when
I think he did.
And I'll tell the story again in a minute here after we watch this last punt. But after one of these punts, we're sitting in the another one. Look at that, just die right there. The 5. Yeah, you can't beat that. Just a wonderful, wonderful job. So here we are in our. Come on. Here we are in our matching Buschini jerseys.
Yeah.
Which didn't realize quite how that looked until looking at these photos.
No, definitely.
And so we are at this inside there in that kind of from where I took that one picture, we could see the whole field, but you're inside, not in one of the seats. And we're having some drinks, maybe a little snack or something. And one of the guys walks in and says to Carl, "Is that your son?" And I so had to bite my tongue. I wanted to say, "Our son."
But, the rumors would have flown there.
Yeah, we had been fighting that we were the only 2 dudes on the bus. We were like, "No, it was my birthday," and my buddy, he said he would come along, and and it was seriously like that Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, it was.
But this is another shot from the
Amazing
stadium. Just a
facility.
beautiful, beautiful facility. But I did save. This was the very first punt, and if you can imagine being in a foreign country and
Capital High kid, right here.
Yeah,
Capital
I'm a
High,
Capital kid
first
right there.
punt for Nebraska, the team I've loved. Well, my earliest memories.
Heels are on
Heels
the
are
end
on the
line.
end.
Yep, heels on the end zone.
Down run. That was a huge punt from Akers, and let's see if the transfer from Montana can match it.
The FCS Punter of the Year, Brian Buschini. From Montana to Dublin. He drives the ball
Montana to Dublin.
here, and creates a fair catch at least.
That's like 64 yards.
Yeah.
Barely in its territory.
No, that was a good effort. That was a great
Yeah,
first
fair
punt.
catch, 64 yards. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah,
and the
he's-
stress of being
the
your
pressure
very
of
first
that.
punt in a foreign country, heels on your own goal line. I mean,
Right.
end zone, back of the end zone.
Pretty amazing. Oh, do we have
And
the
then-
onside?
We have.
Oh, do we have the onside? Really?
Yeah,
We have
so
the
it's going
We
to.
have to really rub it in.
So I'm going to build it up just a little bit because, so it's just slightly longer. But this is the hit that caused the turnover, which then led to the touchdown, which we went up, I think, 28-17. And then is the super smart. Well, there's the coaching move that
Yeah.
onside kick. So check out this hit.
Great hit.
Right through the ball.
Right
So-
through the ball.
We're sitting there going, we had just scored a touchdown, I believe, and now we get the turnover.
Look who's there.
And he makes a killer run for a touchdown. He just runs over people.
Things are looking pretty good at
Things
this
are.
point.
We're happy. We're
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're drinking. Don't you think, Carl?
Just a little bit.
May have been. And kind of distracted because you get a little distracted as it, are getting ready to kick off.
So I tuck them in the suitcase.
Still very large, Brad. I don't care what they're made of.
Probably not a carry-on. Probably chicken, unfortunately.
2 plus a coin.
28-17. Got a nice lead. Mid-third
Momentum.
quarter.
Yeah.
Outplaying them. You got the your defense is fired up. Your offense is fired up.
87 yards in the third quarter.
Your team is fired up, and you send this play in.
Yeah.
And watch the execution here. It's just really
Right to a running back.
My goodness.
The 45, Scott Frost going for the mortal blow.
Going for the
Listen
mortal
to these
blow.
guys.
Yes.
Western has a short field.
Yeah. They have a short field.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. There it is. I don't know
That's
about that.
pretty well summed up.
That pretty much sums up the season
year.
right there,
Exactly.
unfortunately. Boy.
And this poor kid get put in a. At first there was some thought that maybe it was just one of those. If you see this,
No way.
alignment, and you go.
There is no way that
But
kid
that's
is making
not
that
what
call.
happened. That's
Never.
not what
But how
That is
often do you have a
ever-
running back unless you know it's an onside kick?
No. There's no way that was on the kicker. Absolutely.
No,
not.
not on
was
the
not.
kicker, but
It
you
wasn't.
wonder if Northwestern saw something, because on a normal kickoff, how often do you have hands team up? I mean, you have hands team up when you know it's going to be an onside kick, but there was no way
Well,
for them to know that
I
that
bet
was an
he's.
onside kick.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just on there every kickoff.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe they're just getting some use out of him.
Maybe.
But I don't know. But
Maybe Scott Frost talks in his sleep,
I've never
and everyone
heard.
heard about him wanting to do an onside kick the night before. Who knows?
I've never heard Coach Bush be asked about that play, and that is one question I'd like to ask him.
I will almost promise you it was not his call, but
I will almost promise you too.
Yeah.
And as we talked about before, it made no sense to me. You've got the momentum. Your defense just had a huge turnover. You just went ahead by 11 points on an amazing run by your running back. Your team is totally jacked, and you do that. And then you give them a short field, they get on a score.
Let's think of it as a learning opportunity.
That's
shall we?
it.
Okay.
Scott Frost could think about
We-
that in his next job
We
interview.
may not see it again this year. Let's hope.
You think?
Yes, I would hope that we do not. Well, it was a great trip by Executive Travel again. So what did I? We went to the Guinness factory, but I kind of ended it. So
Kind of ended it. That's fine. We can.
yeah, we went to the Guinness factory and the
We drank a lot of beer there. That's all you
We
need
just
to know.
drank.
Okay.
We just
Very
drank.
smooth.
Yeah. Again, like that day, I just got so depressed after seeing it again that I ended the tour. But we did get to go to we drowned our sorrows at the Guinness factory, which was a very cool tour. And then the team had gone there earlier in the week, but we went to the Merry Plowboy and got to see some traditional Irish dance and music and stuff. And it was fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely.
But the game was sad.
Well, let's see where
Sad.
maybe Nebraska makes a bowl game, and who knows, somewhere fun, Las Vegas, maybe.
Maybe
Let's see.
the Potato Bowl.
Hey, Boise, great.
10 points or more, Carl. All right, gentlemen,
Lots of
we've gone through a lot.
Kool-Aid
And we've had a little whiskey. Final thoughts, Carl.
I hope I am wrong. I hope they come out and lay one on Minnesota. So we'll see.
BB?
I just want to. I stand by the turnover game, and that's going to hold true. I think all season long for us. If we can minimize mistakes, I think we're going to be a much improved football team. But mistakes happen. We just need to minimize them.
Well, the next time we meet, gentlemen, we're going to know a lot more about this team and
Yes, we will.
maybe how this season is going to look. So I thank you. I think it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be a fun season.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Thank you guys for remembering and
35. That's a
bringing
big one.
35 for 20 years in a row. That is pretty damn good.
bringing the wonderful gifts. So for BB and Carl, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.